The Wild have made a major roster move. This changes everything for the Minnesota Wild outlook in the playoffs. As head coach John Hynes has made a major decision with Zeev Buium, the Wild star prospect, and we have some revealed information about his role as the Minnesota Wild have clinched their Stanley Cup playoff spot and are set to face off against the Vegas Golden Knights on Sunday. We have to look into the schedule of the series, into the roster, the lines, and one very particular thing about Zeev Buium that has Wild fans absolutely pumped up. All that coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But guys, before we get into the video, we got a big ask of you. We have a big goal of hitting 13,000 subscribers by the start of the playoffs. I know it's coming very soon, but so many of you are watching these videos and are not subscribed, like 60-70%. So listen, if even just a fraction of you watching, hit that free subscribe button to stay up to date on all your favorite teams. Do it now. We'd really, really appreciate it. Mark, we got to dive right into this. The schedule's revealed. The playoffs are set to go. Of course, we got Minnesota versus the Vegas Golden Knights starting Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Oh, baby, it's just nonstop hockey. It's one of my favorite things when you don't have those 2 off days for travel in the middle of a series. However, for a team like Minnesota, who's been injured a lot this season, a few guys still getting into the rhythm coming back, how do you feel this fares for the Minnesota Wild? We only have a few guys who have played like a good, well, we have a lot of guys who have played a lot of the season, but a lot of the top guys like Eriksson, like Kaprizov, even a guy like Spurgeon, a guy like Middleton, they've all missed some time. I tend to feel like guys who get injured during the season, the more they play, the more they get back into the rhythm. But how do you think this kind of schedule right out the gate, starting Sunday, got a few days to rest now, and then straight 1 day rest every time? How does that fare for the Minnesota Wild?
I mean, the biggest thing is, listen, having these players hurt in the regular season, it does suck. You don't want to see it. Looking at the games, a lot of these guys didn't even play close to 80 games. But the biggest thing to look at, the players that came back, Joel Eriksson, Kaprizov, these guys have been playing outstanding since returning from the injury. You rather see this happen a lot sooner in a season. You don't want anyone hurt to start with. But if a player is going to go down, you want them to come back. If they're coming back on game one, maybe they're a little rusty. But these guys have entered the lineup already, playing outstanding. We've already seen Kaprizov, Joel Eriksson having an outstanding return to the lineup. Looking at the team, the guys that were here during the full season as well, Boldy, Rossi, these guys have been outstanding. But Josh, just kind of looking at this, listen, we've already spoke on the main things with this roster is scoring. They need to pick this up. The goaltending is going to be a big part. But what's your overall thoughts on going into the series, and who do you think really needs to thrive in this?
I mean, look, I think a lot of people are going to need to thrive. I'm a big Minnesota Wild fan. Well, like at the end of the day, looking at that Vegas Golden Knights lineup, it's very scary. So as you mentioned, their goaltending, Filip Gustavsson, probably going to be him the whole series. Maybe Fleury will get some time. I don't think so. I think it's pretty much the Gus Bus' season right now. He's going to have to be huge because, again, like we talked about in our series preview video, Vegas shoots a lot and they score a lot. Minnesota doesn't shoot that much and they don't score that much at the end of the day. They got some guys who can get some points, but as a team, maybe not so much on the grand scheme of the playoff teams in the NHL. So Gus Bus is going to be huge, but honestly, the defense in front of him is going to be a big thing too. And if we take a look at the lines, this will actually transition very well to what we're going to talk about in a second. But again, getting Middleton back, getting Spurgeon back, having Brody and Spurgeon, Middleton, Faber as your top four on defense is going to make a massive difference going against Vegas. You bring a bit of physicality back with a guy like Middleton. Of course, you have that in your forwards with Foligno, Trennan, Hartman from time to time as well. So there's a bit of grit and grind there. But Mark, we got to just go right in and talk about what could be the X factor in this series in Zeev Buium, because that's right. You see him there. Joe Smith was out tweeting what the lines were at practice, and look at that. The third pairing. Instead of John Merrill, we see Zeev Buium. Now, Mark, I know we'll talk about the other thing that they did with him, and we'll get into that in just a second, but seeing him in this lineup, when a lot of people, like even Michael Russo, was predicting that this stud NCAA player with more points in his first 2 seasons in college than Cale Makar had, we were thinking he was going to miss the first game because he didn't play game 82. How surprised were you to see this, and how excited are you, barring the thing that we're still going to talk about in a minute?
I mean, listen, him joining the lineup, looking at his stats alone, nope, not John, but looking at Zeev's stats alone, this kid is electric, coming in, being the top prospect in the system, 12th overall. As we said multiple times, how the hell did he drop to 12? Buium has been outstanding in college. Seen him around the team. We've seen him speak on joining this team. I mean, pulling up just him speaking on just how excited he is every day coming to the rink. It's fun to be here. This is the highest level. This is where you want to be. If my name gets called upon, I'll be ready. This kid is electric on the offensive end. He has a good defensive game. Buium is going to be a stud around the NHL. Josh, looking at stats, just looking at how he played in college, joining this team to the point of like Marc-André Fleury pranking him. This kid is finally getting into the league. And what's your thoughts on possibly and a high chance seeing him game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I absolutely love it because you know what? You get a defenseman that is an offensive star on defense, and pumping a little extra offense into this team is exactly what they need this time of year. Eriksson got his goal scoring touch back right away, which was gone for a big part of the season. Kaprizov obviously injecting him. This guy is like a top 5 player in the NHL, if you ask me, right? And then injecting a guy who has some of the most historic scoring numbers for any defenseman in college history in Buium is going to make a massive difference. But that doesn't just go from him playing the third pairing, Mark. We have some other huge news as he was spotted with the #1 power play unit with the Minnesota Wild at practice. It just said that to be a tell if he could play game one. He's with Boldy, Eriksson, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello. He's the point man. He's manning the point. They're on the first power play on a team that, look, when they're fully healthy, can be quite dangerous on the power play. Look, we're all familiar with that Kaprizov-Zuccarello connection, and we've seen different defensemen man the point over the years for Minnesota, but bringing in a guy like Buium, that kind of offensive specialist who still is no slouch on the defensive end, I feel like we need to add that. Like, he's not bad on defense either, and he's a fairly disciplined player. So adding this to your power play, one, first of all, no pressure, kids. Second of all, again, like I said, Mark, in a series where if Minnesota's defense and goaltending can weather the storm from Vegas's incredible offense, bringing some offense of their own is something they really need, and injecting this kind of talent onto your first power play, honestly, I think it's a fantastic, bold move that I didn't really expect, but I absolutely love it.
And I mean, listen, if they just had him practicing on the team, I'd say maybe there's a 50-50 chance of him playing, but seeing him on the power play one, you don't do this with a rookie that might get into a game. It seems like Buium is a guy that they want in the system. They want playing right away. Get him as a quarterback on this line. He's going to produce. He's someone that can pass incredibly. We've seen it all through colleges and practices. He's looked good with his team. So inject him in on a team with the top end talent that they already have. Joel Eriksson, Boldy, Kaprizov. He's going to put up points, and I think he's going to open up a lot of the ice for this team going into Vegas. Like you said, they need to produce. They need to put up offensive stats, and I think a young, hungry forward, their top prospect, not even just a young forward, the top prospect on this team into the lineup is going to give them the boost that they really need.
Yeah, it's crazy to see this, right? And a lot of the time these young prospects come in and they are the X factor. I mean, we've seen Boldy when he was young coming and playing some playoff games. You see it all across the NHL, but this young defenseman coming in, I mean, look, I don't know if he's going to be a superstar on offense with Zach Bogosian next to him, but he might be. That's kind of a good pairing with him, if you ask me. Like, stylistically, kind of a bigger veteran guy who can cover for maybe some of Buium's mistakes if he makes them, right? We know he doesn't make too many mistakes, but I think he's put in a position right now where he's free to kind of roam and do what he needs and just play his game. That's all I'm hoping out of Zeev Buium, that he'll be able to play his game freely and bring that offensive talent to the Minnesota Wild without giving back too much on the defensive end. And again, run him on the PP1, best way to do that. You can play him sheltered minutes as well because of the incredible top 4 defense that you have at the moment. I think it's just a team that's built for some success if they can get past Vegas. So we'd love to hear all of your guys' thoughts. What are your thoughts on Zeev Buium probably playing game one? And not only that, being on the first power play, we'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But that'll do it for this episode of Hat Trick HQ. If you enjoyed, like we said, hit the subscribe button. I know we got about 300 subs to go, but hey, like I said, a ton of you, well over 300 are watching this and are not subscribed. And look, we'll have lots and lots of playoff videos just like this one. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Mark Pye. We'll catch you in the next one.